Welcome to Broadneck High School Baseball and our series, The Bruin Way. Today we'll present part 2 of a 2-part catcher drill series that can be used at a practice. We assume that catchers have warmed up with the rest of the team at the beginning of practice, but when we get together for position-specific work, we will add additional flexibility and agility specific to catching. These shuffles have an agility component, but they also help us focus in on the proper posture and stance for receiving. The combination of providing a low target while also having the mobility to field our position and block and receive the ball requires incredible hip flexibility. These stretches, called the scorpion stretch, help the catcher work on that very important hip flexibility component. We should work on our flexibility not only to help improve performance, but also to keep us healthy. The goal in these modified leapfrogs is to keep your hands on the ground and have your feet jump past your hands as you leap forward. There are 2 stances used by the catcher, the sign-giving stance and the receiving stance. In this portion, we'll work on the receiving stance, walking in, spreading our feet out with toes pointing out so we can sink our hips down low and give a low receiving target to the pitcher with our glove. We'll repeat this 3 times. The catcher's receiving stance is one of the few athletic stances where we want the athlete's feet flat on the ground. The flat feet in the receiving stance are a key component in the catcher's mobility. As a warm-up to receiving, we'll have the coach point to the right, the middle, and the left, and have the catchers receive without a ball being thrown at them. This helps isolate the proper body movement or lack of body movement we're looking for. Here's a pitch to the right, and you'll notice the catchers move from their sign-giving stance, skipping to position to their receiving stance on the first movement of the coach. Now you'll notice on the pitch to the left side of the plate, the catcher will sway over, shifting his body a little bit so that he can receive that pitch without turning his shoulders to reach. Here's the coach making his first movement. Then they skip to position, sway, and stick the pitch. The catcher's mitt with all of its padding can become a crutch for young catchers. We want to spend some time without the glove, using a softball, tennis ball, or wiffle ball to work on using our hand to receive the baseball, being soft and picking it out of the air, mainly using our index, middle finger, and thumb. In this portion of the drill period, each catcher will receive 3 balls inside, 3 balls down the middle, and 3 balls away using the proper technique. Generally keeping their body and head quiet on the pitches that are to the right and middle, allowing their body to sway slightly on balls to the left side of the plate so they can reach that pitch without turning their shoulders to reach. When we catch or receive any borderline strikes, we don't jerk the ball back into the zone, breaking our wrist. Instead, on a low pitch, for example, we might extend our arm, roll our thumb up, or snap the ball slightly back up into the zone. We don't want the umpire to see us break our wrist, jerking the ball back into the zone, making it obvious that we didn't think the pitch was a strike. You can place a ball between your palm, pinky, and ring finger to place an added degree of difficulty in this drill. There are 2 types of pop-ups that a catcher will face: the short pop-up, resulting from a bunt attempt, and a higher pop-up resulting from a full swing. We'll give 2 reps to the catcher on the bunt pop-up. The focus here is really a quick reaction athletic movement and then quickly rotating to a throwing position, so you might be able to get a runner who didn't tag up. We'll follow that up with 2 higher pop-ups so that the catcher has time to get underneath the ball, throw his mask clear so he doesn't trip on it, catch the ball, and then again rotate looking for a runner. It's beneficial to do these drills with full equipment on and a mask so we can get used to the added weight of the gear. Later on in practice, we'll have our gear on for blocking drills, so we might as well use the opportunity to move around doing other things like fielding bunts and pop-ups wearing our gear during that same period. It's a good idea in the early stages of these drills to accomplish them without a ball. The footwork and reaction, the timing of throwing the mask as you're under the peak of the ball are all things that you can work on without the added challenge of catching the baseball. We can put the final step together after we've accomplished the proper footwork. A talented fungo hitter can accomplish the spin and create the loop that you will see off a live bat. We'll shift to working on handling wild pitches. One catcher will serve as the pitcher, coming in, pointing at the ball, covering the plate, while also yelling 1-1-1, 3-3-3, or feet, 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 depending on where the ball ended up. It's often challenging for a catcher who blocked the ball and had it skip away to find the direction that the ball ended up in. The pitcher helps him with this. The pitcher comes in and covers the plate, ready to receive a throw from the catcher. The catcher's job is to get back to the ball quickly and in a balanced position so he can make an accurate throw back to the pitcher covering home plate. We refer to the throw as a dart throw, as a reminder to the catcher that it is more about accuracy and less about speed with this throw back to the pitcher. We'll handle this receiving period in a very similar way as our tennis ball drills, with 3 balls thrown to the right side of the plate, then 3 balls to the middle, then 3 balls away. You'll notice our catcher is working on the skip to position from the sign-giving stance, where he gives the sign to the pitcher, to the receiving stance. The timing of this is on first movement, when the pitcher throws out of the stretch. If the pitcher is throwing out of the windup, the catcher waits until the pitcher lifts his leg to shift from sign-giving stance to receiving stance. As our first catcher completes his reps, you'll notice these 3 balls on the left side of the plate, or the catcher's right, have the catcher swaying slightly so that he can stick those pitches without excessive head or shoulder movement. The quieter the catcher can keep his body and stick the pitch, the stronger the impression that the pitch was a strike to the umpire. More important than the impression to the umpire is simply catching the baseball. If we need a little bit of head movement to get our eyes behind the ball in order to catch a pitch, we'll go with that. But in general, we'd like to accomplish both, having a quiet head, a quiet body, and letting our glove do the work. Throwing strikes is such an important part of the game, and it starts with a good target from our catcher. You'll note the catcher's mitt is placed between the knees on his shin guard. That places his glove side elbow slightly above his glove side knee, giving him mobility to move his glove out of the zone in case the pitch is a ball. Now we'll work on the tag play at the plate, a very exciting part of the game. The catcher starts by walking in front of the plate to give the umpire confirmation that he is not blocking the path of the runner. The catcher yells 4, 4, 4 to let the relay know where to line up. As the throw is made, the catcher takes 3 backward steps, left, right, left, catching the ball as the final left step hits the ground. The catcher clamps his glove shut with his throwing hand to protect the ball from falling out during the tag. The coach on the third baseline is rolling a soccer ball to simulate a runner coming home. The catcher works on catching the ball first, then finding and tagging the runner, working close to the plate, out to the runner. As is true of all plays made with less than 2 outs, our catcher needs to be conscious of other runners on base. It's common that those other runners may be advancing on a throw home. It's also possible that backside runners are anticipating that the catcher and the runner may get tangled up, allowing them to advance. It's important that our catchers realize this and pop to their feet as quickly as they can, ready to make the next throw. For an added degree of difficulty on these plays at home, we've added a coach hitting a ground ball to simulate a short hop or bad throw coming from the outfield or relay man, accomplishing an important goal to make practice reps as game-like as possible. Now we'll work on blocking. We separate this into 4 steps. The first step has the catcher's knees down and his glove blocking the space between his thighs. The catcher receives short hops, shifting his body to keep his body in front to block the baseball. The next portion of the drill has the catcher's knees down, but his glove starts up. As the ball comes in, the catcher works on sticking the glove down to block the space between his knees, again letting the ball impact him. Now he's moved into a position with his glove down, but his knees are up. This is the opposite, where he forces his knees down to center it on the glove. The final portion of the drill has the catcher in his standard stance, his receiving stance, until he unfolds to put both his glove and knees on the ground to make a full motion block. During the blocking portion of the drill period, each catcher received 3 of the 4 different types of blocks. Blocking a baseball actually has 3 important components. The first is getting your body in front of the ball. The second is recovering to your feet to go get the baseball. And finally, to be in a position to throw in case the runner is in a bad position. A variation of this drill can slow it down to allow each block to force the catcher to recover and get into a balanced throwing position. These catchers are relatively experienced. For inexperienced, younger catchers, it is a great idea to start with wiffle balls and then build toward tennis balls, soft tee balls, and finally a baseball. It is all about establishing comfort, using your padding to let the ball hit you and remain in front of you. For older players, this period could be enhanced by use of a pitching machine. Stretching during practice is a great way to enhance flexibility, very important to catchers. It also provides an opportunity to talk about baseball IQ topics. Baseball IQ is incredibly valuable, especially to catchers, as they command our team's defense. This is a good opportunity to accomplish 2 things at once. As they work on flexibility, we can discuss details that will make our catchers look great when they are prepared to handle them during a game. Thank you for joining us today. There's a second video in this series for catching drills, as well as a 2-part video series on catching fundamentals. Thank you for your interest in doing things the Bruin way.